Good evening, Louise Kelly.
Good evening. Brilliant.
Vicki.
Yeah, so anyone out there who can see us, give us a little yay.
Hey, Justin.
Oh, great. Are people already saying hi? That's really brilliant.
Hey, Natasha. Hey, Jan. Zoe. You guys, thank you so much for coming and putting up with a virtual launch. Ideally, we would all be together in a bookshop doing this, but, you know, needs must.
Indeed. Yeah, but it's great. So we've got Sheila and I here, obviously, and we've got a really brilliant support team, as you can see out there. And lots of people out there will already know Sheila. Some of you will have known her from birth. Hi, Sheila's mom.
Hi, Mom.
Some of you will know her because she keeps your family together. So hi, Sally, Ben, Ralph, and especially to Arlo. Get at that. Loads of people will know you out there from the world of writing, possibly because she co-founded the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators Scotland branch. So big highs from anyone who's involved there, or Scooby throughout the British Isles and across the world, in fact, or any other writing retreats and workshops. She's a great attender of those. You might even know from some lesser forms of real life that don't involve writing. So hi to all you readers, etc. She really does have a very wide range of friends. You might know her from the world of journalism, where she's interviewed tech billionaires and would-be Mars colonists. I don't know if we've got any would-be Mars colonists out there, but hi if you're there. You might know her as a copywriter or social media manager. She's involved in lots of projects in that domain. You might know her as one of the 2019 Scottish Book Trust Award winners. And well, I'm lucky enough to call Sheila my friend, and I'm Louise Kelly. I've known Sheila for many years, since I think May 2013, when a member of the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, Maureen Linus, say hi, Maureen, if you're there.
Hey, Maureen.
She put us in touch online, and she met both of us and said she thought we might be able to help each other navigate our way through the maze of the writing world. And so we did a little bit of chatting online, and then one very wet and windy day, it was May, but we do live in Scotland, so we met in the doorway of a not even quite open cafe, and we've been meeting and chatting and talking about writing ever since. So my heart is full of absolute joy, Sheila, to introduce one of the warmest human beings I know, the most skillful writers and insightful storytellers I've ever met, Sheila Averbuch. Hi, Sheila.
Hello, Louise. Thank you so much for emceeing this, and massive thanks to PM Freestone and Sarah Broadley of SCBWI, who are also doing awesome help in the comments. I cannot believe how many people are logging on. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in, and Louise, thank you again for hosting.
Brilliant. Well, you're looking pretty good for someone who's just had a baby. I mean, a baby at that, but
yeah, it was a rectangle, and that's not easy.
Yeah. How does it feel tonight? Do you want to tell us why we're here?
This is Friend Me. This was my 6th manuscript, 17 years in the making. I gave up twice on the way, but Friend Me is out today with Scholastic Press, New York, and it's being distributed by Scholastic in the UK and Ireland. It is the story of a bullied girl whose bully has a bad accident, and she starts to worry that her new best friend, who she only knows online, might have been involved. So it's got lots of twists and lots of tech and, you know, cyberbullying phones, but also some near future stuff like AI and bullet trains and a robotic cat, one of which I have in my lap right now, which I'm afraid to show my dog if he is watching this.
Brilliant. That's great. So well, let's just take everyone through the order of events tonight. So as well as me helping Sheila here, we've got, as Sheila said, PM Freestone and Sarah Broadley out there. Peter, PM Freestone, is Sheila's Scottish Book Trust New Writers Award mentor, and Sarah is a colleague from the SCBWI and a writing friend. And there's a lot of other supporting team out there as well from the world of writing who are just there in the chat, really, because we all wanted to be here as part of your celebration. So there'll be Sarah and Peter will be posting links on the chat with various bits of information as the evening goes. And of course, we're separated by various screens and viruses and miles tonight, but none of that means that we can't really just come together with one heart and one aim, which is aiming to help Sheila launch this fantastic book, Friend Me. So please put comments in the chat box, put questions in the chat box, and we'll give Sheila a chance to deal with as many of those as you can at the end later on in the event. So one bit of housekeeping. Obviously, we're really beholden to tech here, so everything's crossed. But if there is a break in transmission, Sarah and Peter are there, and they'll keep you entertained. And we will beam back in some form or another. So just watch, and you may have to press that play live, watch live button again. But I'm going to shut up in a moment, and I'm going to ask Sheila to tell us about her experience of writing the book. Then I'll ask her to talk a bit more about the book, expand on what she was just saying there. Then she'll tell you about a great giveaway she's got tonight. And during that time, we will also have a chance to answer some of the questions that you've been asking. And at the very end, we'll stop the Zoom video, and by some kind of magic of technology, I think it might be like that scene of Mike TV getting transported in.
Yeah, Charlie and Chocolate Factory. Yep.
We'll transport Sheila from here into the chat box.
Yes.
And she will chat to you direct from Facebook Live. So how does that sound, Sheila?
That sounds great. And I can see all your comments coming up. Thank you so much. All I can do is press my little heart button to say hello, because I'm looking at this window here.
Right. So Sheila,
yes.
I've read the book Friend Me many times. It's exciting. It's heartwarming. It's satisfying to read, I think, because you tap into what the characters are feeling and you make the reader feel the same thing. And that's obviously the holy grail of writing. So I'm curious, did that ability to craft such a wonderful book, did you just find that shrink wrapped in the Middle Island Lidl, or did you have to work at it?
I really, really, really had to work at it. I know a lot of writers have a long writer's journey, but I had surely one of the longest ever. I started out as a technology journalist. Actually, we can go through some pictures. Do you want to go through pictures, or will we just talk through it?
Let's go through some pictures.
Okay, let's go through some pictures. So I started out as a journalist. I was living in Dublin at the time. I was 32. That is when I first started writing. This is me walking around the streets of Dublin, talking to my actually then future husband about the work we were going to do with Yahoo. And I thought, I'm just going to write a book. I didn't read what other children's books were out there, but I knew I wanted to write a children's book. So I wrote this. This is my first manuscript, Space Kids, I called it, and the Pluto plot. But the only problem was that it kind of read like something from Enid Blyton, because when I went and looked back at what my inspirations were, honestly, they were Enid Blyton. That is what I had consumed when I was, 10 and 11 years old. But I don't know if you remember when Enid Blyton books were published, but they were, this particular one, The Mystery of the Hidden House, was published in 1948. So although I had written a manuscript, and I'm proud of myself that I did that, I didn't realize the extent to which I was drawing on children's books from my own childhood. I didn't have any other writers read it. I just put it out there to literary agents. I wrote a query letter, which was really a case study in how not to write a query letter, because I told the agent that it was a really readable book. I said that it offered, merchandising opportunities. I was thinking of it in terms of one business person to another and saying, you and I can both have recurring revenues because I will write more of these wonderful books. Anyway, you will not be shocked to hear that this was rejected. I got my first rejection at the end of 2003 from Christopher Little Literary Agency, and it just skewered me totally. I thought, listen, I'm a professional writer. I'm a journalist writing about tech, writing about politics. Why can't I get over the line? So I just stopped writing. And I had my family, 2 babies in quick succession, 2004, 2005, 2006. And in Scotland, the Scottish Book Trust, I think it is, or the Scottish government does this thing where they give free books, a bag full of books to every family. And that is what finally started me doing what I should have really been doing all along, which is reading new children's books. So I then got really interested in how kind of subtle and layered and hilarious modern children's books are. And in the middle of all of this, by now this is 2012, I went back to see my mother in Massachusetts, and thank you, Mom, if you're watching this, which I hope you are, I found this copy of Space Kids in your attic when you were moving house. And by this stage, I had read more modern children's books. And reading this, I thought, well, you know what, it's not terrible. I can work on it. How do I work on it? And I asked the writer, Debbie Gliori, the author illustrator who is incredible. She said, do you know about the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators? And I said, no, I'll go along to their annual conference, which I did. Oh my gosh. This is the community I needed. These are the people who could connect me with craft lessons in how to plot a story. These are the people who could give me reading recommendations. So we started our own chapter of SCBWI in Southeast Scotland, as you know, Louise, you and I did. And we had guest speakers, and we had people like Keith Gray come in and give us lessons in how to do plotting and how to do story. And everybody said, read, 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 read. So I started to read books like these. In fact, I think I have written a list out there of 50 fantastic children's books that taught me how to write. Sarah Broadley might have a link for that she can share in the chat, and I can share it afterwards anyway. But these are the books I really took as my tutor texts in how to write with voice, how to write with character. And then, as I say, we got in professionals like Keith Gray to do master classes in how to have a really strong beginning to your book. So this next slide, I think, is a picture of the sold out event that Keith Gray did for us, talking about the need not just to revise your manuscript, but also the need to accept criticism and to rewrite and to take in critiques from your fellow writers and editors and literary agents, and to keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. So I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote more manuscripts, and I wrote more manuscripts, and I got better. And I then reached the incredible stage of writing a query letter that got me my agent, the fantastic Andrea Brown Literary Agency is the oldest children's agency in the US, and Jennifer Loughran is one of their senior agents. And she read this query letter and she said, yes, I want to represent you. I met her in person then at the Big Sur Children's Writing Workshop under the Redwoods in California. And that was the end of 2015. So by Christmas 2015, I had my contract with this fantastic agent, and we were going to take this manuscript that she loved and we were going to go on submission with it. So we did. That one didn't find a publisher yet, but I wrote more. I'll just write more. I have this other book I'm working on anyway. And we went on submission with that. And Jennifer and I both loved these books, but they didn't quite find a publisher. So then I told myself, well, it's okay. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. But I just quite hit the wall at one stage. I said, I can't keep going. Like, how can I keep going when the world doesn't want what I am writing? And I really hit rock bottom. I just stopped writing. I did things like learn Japanese. I went outside. I did gardening. Literally for 6 months, I was just like practicing kanji and gardening. And this is actually a picture of the writing spot that I hacked in the bushes outside, right inside practically a lilac bush, so I could have the flowers around me and just see if I could feel better. And eventually I did feel better. I kind of wrote myself back to health, and said to myself, well, maybe the world doesn't want my writing, but I want my writing. It makes me feel better. And this is the middle of 2018, and I got the chance to submit to the Scottish Book Trust's New Writer Awards, which I had submitted to before but never gotten anywhere. And lo and behold, they granted me one of their New Writers Awards, which provides a writing retreat in the incredible Moniac Moor, a writing retreat in the Highlands of Scotland. If you are ever tempted to go on a writing retreat, you have to check it out, not just because the cows look in the window and cheer you on, but because the team there knows exactly what writers in a fugue state need. Fantastic food, community, and a room of one's own to do scary things like cut the entire first chapter of your book, which I did at Moniac Moor. And later on that year, Jennifer and I went on submission with the book, which was at that time called Best Friend Code. And in May 2019, we got this, I got this email late one night from Jennifer saying that an editor at Scholastic Press US had fallen in love with it and wanted to acquire the book. I'm getting a little emotional because I never thought this day would arrive. I could not believe it. Emily Seif, the senior editor at Scholastic Press, said she picked it up and she couldn't put it down. So I got this email late that night at 9:38 p.m., as you might be able to see on the slide, on the 19th of 2nd of May, 2019. And the next morning at 8 a.m., Louise Kelly was over my house, having stripped every flower out of her garden, saying, "Congratulations, my friend, you got over the line." And this is such a big lesson for anybody who is tempted to try to write for children. Find your writing community, the fantastic people like you and Sarah and Peta and Susan and Susan and Sarah and everybody in our family, all the names I can see going up here, Philippa, Catherine, Maureen, Lindsay, all of these fantastic people are there to support you in your writing journey and to help you through this difficult business of continuing to revise, because you need to continue to revise and continue to revise. So that's what I did. I think that, I don't know if the next slide is about feedback. Oh no, this is about research. I used the Scottish Book Trust grant, and that helped me go to Maine and Massachusetts, where the book is set, and go and stand there on the beach and go there and, you know, try the poutine and the lobster rolls and see what was out the window of the Downeaster, the train that connects Boston and Maine. I did robotics research here in Edinburgh. But it was fantastic of me to be able to actually go to these places and find settings that I could set certain scenes. And the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, where the critical chapter 11, I think is, that it's set, was absolutely incredible. So thank you forever to the Scottish Book Trust for that financial support and getting me to go there. Emily and I, the editor at Scholastic, continued to revise the manuscript. She wanted me to make it stronger in ways that I could not see if I had not been working with an editor. She also gave me guidance on wording and what was appropriate for the 8 to 12 age range, which this middle grade age range is. And then after Emily, there were other people working on the book as well, Josh and Elizabeth, who were all teaming together to say, how can we make sure this is as strong as it could be? This is actually a screenshot of a place where they were talking about what you might see out the window of the train going from Boston to Massachusetts. Like, this is the level of kind of like attention that they're giving these manuscripts. And I was up for it. You know, I was ready for this. Let's try to make this as strong as we can. And then this is all leading up to the fantastic arrival of this baby, this fantastic thing, which arrived, a box of them. The box is right over there, just a couple days ago. So that's it. I just want to say, if this book is has gotten to this stage, then anything is possible, because it took so long and absolutely took a village. So thank you, everybody who has come to support this. Thank you specifically to you, Louise Kelly, for being just absolutely fantastic. And I'm so glad to be here with you guys celebrating tonight.
That was amazing. Great, Sheila. And I'm going from the comments, I think everybody is really enjoying seeing the kind of detail of what it's like. And it doesn't come shrink wrap, does it? You do need to put the effort in. Yes,
it doesn't. Yeah, these things just don't, you know, come fully formed out of your forehead. But I had no idea. But I suppose if we went into these things knowing how much work it was going to take, we'd never try it. But like, you know, you came from academia writing for children. I came from journalism writing for children. You think, I can do this. I write for a living. But, you know, you got to jump in somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So, but obviously it has all paid off, and you've got this fantastic book. What's it called again, Sheila?
It's called Friend Me, middle grade thriller debut from Scholastic Press, publishing 10 November.
Excellent, excellent. And so what, you've taught a bit about it, but let's delve in a little bit deeper to what what kind of things you tackle in the book. So it looks at quite very topical and quite difficult issues relating to how we use tech, how we communicate with each other, and tech has obviously some very positives in terms of communication with people across the miles. But this really does look at the issues relating to how these how tech is used with children and how it's relevant to children's lives. So I wondered whether you might talk about whether there's something, how you decided you could address this for children, and what kids would find, what aspects of it would children find particularly useful to know about, or the parents of children want to explore for children.
It's interesting because Friend Me was a departure for me, because I had spent 25 years working as a technology journalist and 17 years trying to write for children, but it never occurred to me to connect the two. But then seeing my own kids, who are now 14 and 15, seeing them and how technology is so embedded in their lives, I think maybe that's partly a reason that the book struck a chord with an editor, is because childhood has become so technologized. So I think I was just the right writer in the right place, the right time, also able to, witness, having given birth to my target market, how they were using technology in their lives. And what fascinates me is that social media and apps in particular, and if you are one of the 50 million people who have seen on Netflix The Social Dilemma, you will have gotten the taste of the fact that the people who created this technology were specifically trying to make it addictive, unputdownable, and also that it's untested technology being tested on children, not just on humans, but on vulnerable humans, on teenagers and teenagers and young people who really want to be part of the crowd, but they they're using these highly addictive devices that we can't just tell them, put it down if you're being bullied, for example, because that is the same conduit through which you're getting homework alerts and texts from mom and dad, and the connection to the rest of your life. So this is some of what I wanted to explore in Friend Me.
So have you got a bit of the book that you might want to read out?
Yes, I do.
Issues?
I have so as I mentioned, it's a story of a bullied girl who's having a really hard time in America. She's an Irish transplant to the US. And in this scene, she's had a hard day, and she's just gone to the shops to get dinner for her family. And unfortunately, on the way home, the lid has popped off the beef stew in the bag that she's carrying. And as she's walking home, the mean girls are behind her, and they spot this brown stew going down the back of her bare leg. And you can imagine what that looked like. So when she gets home, Roisin is really upset, and she tries to tell her brother Michael what's happened. So this is the bit I'm going to read to you. I tell him everything about Zara's picture of me and the poll, and me threatening to rip her head off, and Mum's card not working at Whole Foods, and the hoodie prank, and Lily being nice, but I didn't realize it. It's the hugest relief, like the misery is pouring out of me and away, until I get to the part about the diarrhea gravy. Michael's explosive laugh echoes off the walls. Diarrhea gravy, that's hilarious. I don't say anything. My chest feels like he's stomped on it. He tries to clamp his lips together, but creases into giggles again. Come on, it's funny. I throw on the tap to wash my face. It's swollen with tears. Michael makes, what is the big deal? Eyebrows at me in the mirror. This is serious? Fury sticks the words in my throat. Michael lets out a pff. It's really not. Everything you said there, it's petty stuff, except threatening to rip someone's head off. Did you really? The rage feels like a monster trying to claw its way out of me. Forget it. I shove the seeping Whole Foods bag at him. Michael moans, but finally takes the bag. Whoever doesn't shop has to fix dinner. Mum's train gets her home too late to do anything but eat, though never quite in time to sit down with us. Because the lab needs her more than we do, apparently. I mean it, Michael calls as I stomp to my room. You've got to laugh it off, Ro. Maybe be a little less hostile. I blast him a look. He raises don't shoot hands. Just an idea. I collapse onto my bed. In Ireland, maybe I could have laughed it off, but it's like I can't breathe here. I roll over and stifle a scream. A bundle of fur nestles at the end of my bed, its purr rumbling. Not a real cat, that'd be too normal. It's Fred from Mum's lab, one of her feline robotic engagement devices. They're cuddly robots meant for nursing homes, for lonely old people, which is the saddest thing I've ever heard. Its rising, falling back, the eerie, simulated breathing makes me want to chuck it against the wall. I dig for the off switch on its belly and kick it away. Ugh, the feel of the fur, too real. I thought Fred was real when I was small, till the night I found Mum in the kitchen, ripping off its fur, that metal skeleton, like a kitty cat Terminator. Gave me nightmares for years. Mum keeps leaving it in my room though, hoping I'll interact with it. God help me if I'm ever that desperate for a friend.
Oh,
Poor Roisin.
indeed. But you did mention a robotic cat there, Sheila. Would we like to see the robotic cat?
Does anybody want to see the robotic cat?
The robotic cat? I think.
I warn you, he's a little bit eerie. He's not shy though. All right, I'll show the public cat.
Bring him out. Bring him out.
Can you hear him? If I bring him up to the, you know what? He does have a switch in his belly, and I need to turn it on if you want to see him talk to you. Okay, here he is by popular demand. He does this, he turns his head into your hand and he closes his eyes and he twitches his ears, and that is actually really realistic. But I have to tell you, the whole time you and I were trying to get this video set up tonight, I was patting him like crazy in my lap, and it really does calm you down. But he is a little bit creepy, you know? Like, would you rather have a real cat or would you rather have one of these?
I think we could ask people to put in the chat whether they think he's creepy or cool.
I know. Do you think he's creepy or cool? Camilla Jessica says he's like it makes me like a Bond villain. You know, this is the fake licking of his paw that he does. And if he's really happy, he will collapse and show you his belly. But I'm afraid he's going to come out of my hand if I do that. Are you going to roll over for us?
We've got definitely got a bit of Bond going on down there.
Yeah, I know. He's rolling over.
We do have a mix. Some people are undecided. Some people are hedging their bets, saying a bit creepy, a bit cool. I know where my well, actually, I used to think he was really creepy. I think I'm coming round to.
Yeah. I'd say he's better than nothing, but you know what? I'd rather have a real animal. But if you were in a nursing home and you couldn't, they're called therapeutic robots. I did a lot of research into AI and robotics for the book, and they are heavily in use. I saw one of these cats at a robotics exhibition in Edinburgh, and I knew I had to have one in the book somehow.
Yeah. I think they're an asset to any book launch. You have to see that though.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm going to put him down. I think he's not getting the vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anybody watching there, seeing how enthusiastic Sheila is about tech and about the dilemmas we face with tech, that really comes across in the book. So read the book. Give this book to anyone who's interested in any aspect of technology, because it's really engaging. It's not didactic at all. It doesn't try and teach you a lesson. It's just a really engaging exploration of the ideas. So,
there's the whole issue of technology and how we use technology and how like highly addictive apps can affect you. But then when you add bullying into the mix, because bullying has always been there, but I really wanted to explore how can a bully get right inside your head when it's right inside your DMs and you can't get away from it. But as you just said there, with the good and the bad, Roisin's best friend comes to her via the same device that her bully is coming to her through. And, you know, she's getting tips and advice on how to stand up for herself. So, I mean, as a technology journalist for so long, I have to say, I do have mixed feelings, because I, and also my husband, Ralph, we're really excited about technology. You know, we talk about it a lot, we watch a lot on TV, but we're also aware that it is, as I said, like a kind of like a live psychology experiment, as Tristan Harris of that Social Dilemma said. That's this is an experiment that's been going on for about 10 years now, with children as the subjects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and your main character, Roisin, he's so sort of hungry for human connection.
Yeah.
That's vulnerable to this.
Yeah.
To desperately needing technology. So you really do explore the issues of bullying in quite a novel way, I think. I want to talk a bit about that, about aspects of bullying and why that is a useful thing to be discussed in children's literature. And
this is an absolute golden age for new middle grade fiction that talks about bullying and the ripple effect of bullying, and on both the bully and the victims of bullying. And that is the giveaway that I wanted to do tonight. Some of my fellow debuts in 2020, some older books that came out a few years ago, but we'll show them at the end. I want to give away to one of our UK and Ireland attendees here, because we have a giveaway of Friend Me for US people separately. I want to give away a copy of Friend Me to somebody, plus their choice of one of these anti-bullying books, because there is so much out there that allows people who are being bullied to see themselves in middle grade fiction.
So do you want to look at the issue of Roisin being a kind of transplant into a new life, and how that is related to the bullying? I mean, you've maybe got a video we could.
Well, actually, yes. I spoke to Katie Davis, who is an Irish actor who is amazing. She's from Dublin, and she lives in Los Angeles now. And there is a scene, we did a whole interview for you on YouTube, but we did a call last night, and she was telling me that the thing with the washing powder, and if you read Friend Me, you'll know what I'm talking about, actually happened to her. So here's me asking Katie, what was it like to be an Irish transplant living in America? And you were 12 when you came to America. Yeah. But I'm just interested to see how you related, if at all, to what Roisin is going through.
Oh, totally. And I think even if you haven't done that, if you just started at a new school or a new job and felt uncomfortable, you can certainly identify with it. But one of the things that was really funny, because it was actually, I feel like it was mentioned in the sides that I auditioned with, was about the washing powder. And I remember really specifically, because I was living in a room in an apartment, smack bang in the middle of Hollywood. Like, you couldn't be more in Hollywood if you tried. And anyway, I remember leaving the apartment and going, yeah, I'm going to walk to the supermarket. And so I went to Ralph's, and I mean, walking to the supermarket isn't even the funny part of the story, even though it is, because I didn't have a car yet. And I remember getting to Ralph's, going in and standing in the washing powder aisle. Yeah. And not a single thing was familiar to me. And, and even if it was just, oh yeah, that's the one my mum uses. And even if I don't love the smell of it, I know it worked, like I'll use that just for the time being. Yeah. I just was going in blind. And similarly, and so like that was something that Roisin was talking about in the book, like, because it's a smell of home. And she's like, my clothes don't smell like my clothes. So,
this is part of the writer's craft that you and I often talked about, Louise, which is the five senses thing. And I was very much trying to think if, what was it like when I relocated from Massachusetts to Dublin, the other way from Roisin. But even the way you smell, the way everything smells is different, and how that alienates you. I suppose that's just one example of how I don't think I could have done this at the beginning of my fiction writing career, because I didn't realize the importance of things like that. I think Kathy Evans is on the chat as well, and she was the one who talked a lot to me about the need to write with five senses in your writing, and how that kind of hacks the brain of your reader and gets them to really feel what the protagonist is going through.
Yeah. Can we just segue slightly into, or sidestep into the issue of having an audiobook? How exciting is that?
Unbelievable. And the production team at Scholastic Audio and Dion Audio, where it was recorded, were absolutely amazing. They got us all into a conference call to talk about stuff. And the artistry of the audiobook narrators is just incredible, because they have to be 12 characters and change between them. so quickly. So if you're interested in the audiobook, there is a link I think we can provide to it, but it's available from Overdrive, it's available from Libro FM, which allows you to buy audiobooks through your own books, independent bookstore, and on Audible.
And Overdrive is the thing you can use for libraries and things.
Libraries, yes, and there's a sample there you can hear.
Great. Now I'm just wondering, I'm just juggling various bits of tech now here to think about questions and giveaways. So you were talking about other bullying books that have influenced you. Do we want to look at those while I feed you, and I'll feed you some questions that have come in from the...
Yes, please.
Do you want to talk about do you want to explain the giveaway? I think that would be the...
Yes. So we have a number of giveaways that are going on in the US. There's a Goodreads giveaway right now for US and Canada, and there's another giveaway on Literary Rambles. And they're on my website at SheilaMAverbuch.com is a page called giveaways, and you can see what the giveaways are there. But tonight, I would like to do a giveaway just for UK and Ireland people to take your choice of one of these bullying books, The Brave, Looking Glass Girl, Elle on the Outside, American is Paneer Pie, Restart, or What Lane. Choose from one of those, and I will send you a signed advance review copy of Friend Me. So if you're interested, please say yes, please, and say where you are in the UK or Ireland in the chat, and if you want to be in the draw, and I will use a random number generator thing, and I will contact you tomorrow and let you know if you've won.
Okay, great. Okay, so people can be doing that. And meanwhile, I've got some questions. Shall we come back to us, or do you want to leave this link up for a little bit longer?
Yeah, let's leave this up for a little bit, and our faces are there anyway.
Right, we've got some good questions. We've got some really great mix of questions here from the floor. So one is an Annette Casely. Yeah. Do you allow your kids to read any of your drafts? That's a really great question.
I rely on my kids to read my drafts. They're very critical readers because that, ever since Scottish Book Trust, whomever it was, I can't remember, gave us that bag of books when they were babies, we've been reading to them. So, they had read literally hundreds of books by the time I started giving them manuscripts, and they always have excellent suggestions. In fact, it was my son who said, you can't name your cat in the book. He said, call him Fred, call it, a feline robotic something. Thank you to my son for that, Ben. And it was my daughter who suggested the very, 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 very final scene of the book, because the previous draft ended a few, like 3 pages earlier, but Sally said, you remember this thing that you mentioned in chapter 2? Why don't you allow Roisin to get that at the end of the book? So great idea. So yes, Annette, definitely my kids read my stuff and they make it better.
Great. Yeah, I know you've talked a lot about how much you do value their opinions, and that's because you made them good readers, I think.
Yeah.
How long from first premise to full plot? Had it been an idea before, or did it happen in one go? That's from Rowena House.
I had done multiple drafts of every other manuscript, but this is the first one that just came to me in one go. But I wrote it very, very slowly. If you are a word count geek, 250 words a day. I wrote super slowly, and the plot took shape organically, but I really understood plot at this stage because it was my 6th full-length manuscript. So, from writing the first words to getting an offer was 12 months exactly, like to the week. And I had a first draft after about, I think I had a first draft starting in May. I had a first draft that October.
Brilliant. It's very clear. Kathy Evans asks, can we get signed copies?
Yes, you can get signed copies. The link is bit.ly/SMA by Indie. And that link is also pinned to my Twitter. That is where you can get signed copies from my local independent bookstore, Portobello Books, and I'm signing them and they're sending them out.
Okay. Sarah's put a lot of these links in the chat, and all of these links will be on your findable on your website.
Yes.
After the event anyway, won't they? So,
right.
Great. But yes, Kathy, you can get a signed copy.
Yes.
Sue Wallman asked, did you always set out to have an Irish main character? I thought that worked really well.
Thank you, Sue Wallman, for reading. Sue Wallman writes incredible YA thrillers. Everybody everybody read Sue Wellman's books. Did I set out to have an Irish character? Yes. Actually, the first draft I was writing, I was on the plane, and it was an Israeli character coming to America. But I'm like, why would I write an Israeli character? My father-in-law is Israeli, and his was South African via Israel, and we've got a lot of Israeli family. But I'm like, why would I do that? My own experience is more Ireland. So I knew I wanted to be a foreigner coming to America.
Great. Tira asks, I was told that publishers are strongly against showing bullying in children's books. Did you get that kind of pushback?
No, but the Emily Seif did help me know where I had to tone things down, because there is, as I said in the one-liner description, the Roisin's bully has an accident, and that accident was a little harsher originally, I think. But the bullying itself, no, it's in there, but it's realistic. You know, there isn't any punching or anything, but it's more psychological.
Mm-hmm. Camila Chester asks, have your expectations of becoming a published author been met? And if so, how? These are great questions. What a great mix.
Thank you, Camilla. Mm. Yes. What was my expectation? My hopes would be that people would talk about it and review it. People who I know are in the chat tonight, like Mona, thank you so much, Mona, for reading. Thank you so much to Morag and her family for reading, Jim and Lynn's family for reading. My hope was that I would get early readers who would be able to give feedback, and that the readers would be, you know, tween and teen readers. And that was what I was really hoping, and that came through. But that was through the goodness of my community around me for helping that come through. And certainly Scholastic has been a wonderful, wonderful publisher to work with, and my agent and editor have been fantastic.
In fact, the next question I'm going to ask is from Mona Log-Burns.
Yes.
My boy Noah is looking forward to reading the book, and his question is, how long did it take to write the book, and who was your biggest supporter?
It took 6 months, Noah, to write the first version. And then I got some advice from people who, early readers. And then I spent another 2 months rewriting it, and then a further 3 months rewriting it. I rewrote it really 3 times before we sent it out to a publisher. And my biggest supporters are the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators, and also writers I met through Bookbound, Sarah Grant, Kathy Evans, Sarah Moore, Moorhead O'Connor. These people have been absolutely hugely supportive to me in the UK, and I'm just so grateful to them.
Great. And somebody here has asked, can you give a list of all the available editions, hardbook, audiobook, ebook, foreign editions, etc.?
Yes, there is a hardback. There is the hardback is what you will get if you buy it at the shop. However, if you are in if you're in the US and Canada and you have a Scholastic book fair, there is a paperback version that you can buy through your book fair. There is an ebook that you can buy through all the usual ebook places, including the Big A and Google and Amazon, Apple books. And then there's the audiobook that you can get. So there's hardback, there's paperback through your Scholastic book fair in America anyway. There is an ebook, an audiobook, and there's also a Russian version.
Wow. And as I guess as time goes by, books tend to get sold in different territories.
Yes.
They don't always happen all at once. So
yeah.
Look out for those, right? Great. Philippa Francis asks, how did you get started after you hit the wall? What helped? How did those around you help or hinder? That's an interesting bit.
Just by being there. There's a local writer, Stella. Hi, Stella. I think you might be here tonight. We would run into each other just taking walks, and she said, "How you doing?" She said, "Are you writing?" I said, "No." Just walking. But just seeing other writers like that, bumping into them, they knew that I was really in the hole. So it never hindered me to see other writers, even other writers who were getting their books published at the time. Honest to God, I was never jealous because I didn't want to publish their books. I wanted to publish my book. And the way I got out of the hole, I think, Philippa, the only smart thing I did was protect my writing time, my morning 2 hours of writing. I didn't let that go. I didn't do copywriting or anything else, which is my day job, technology copywriting. I just kept that time. And as I said, I gardened, or I studied Japanese. I protected that writing time. And when I was ready to write again, the time was still there. So I think I needed to go outside. I needed to exercise, and I needed to do something else for a while. It's about 6 months of something else.
Okay. Morag Malloy says, Marnie is asking, what was your favorite part of the book to write, and what was the trickiest?
Oh my gosh, Marnie. Thank you, Marnie, for reading. You're awesome. My favorite chapter to write was chapter 6, I have to say. That was the scariest chapter. That's a chapter that does have a bit of scary bullying in it. And I also love chapter 11. So if that's too specific for you, but if you get the book, you'll see what those are.
There was also, what's the trickiest to write?
The trickiest to write?
Mm-hmm.
The trickiest to write was chapter 9, because I could not, chapter 8 and chapter 9, couldn't get that right. That's what Emily, the editor, and I worked on most, because it was how Roisin was feeling about her bully right in the middle of the book. I didn't quite get that right. So 8 and 9 were really hard. In fact, I think 8 and 9 used to be one big chapter, and I cut it in half.
Right. And there's somebody called Ralph Averbuch, is it?
I know him. Hey, Ralph.
What did you learn about managing tech from writing this?
Oh my gosh, how to use Zoom to Facebook Live with a launch page, how to use Goodreads giveaways. That was a real education. I also learned that the best thing you could do for visibility of your content is to create little videos and put them on YouTube. So if there's a way to put this whole thing on YouTube afterwards, I definitely will. Oh, and somebody please ask me about a book that I found really inspiring.
What book did you find really inspiring? That's someone called Louise Kelly's asking that.
Funny you should ask that. The Best Man by Richard Peck. I loved it so much. I read it to my then primary 6 daughter's entire class. It's a kind of a slice of life realistic book. Fantastic. I think it was a Newbery Honor book. Can somebody please tell me their guesses of how old Richard Peck was when he wrote this book? Anybody? And in the meantime, if you want to put your guesses in the chat, I will tell you that it's about a boy, a 12-year-old boy who's just trying to grow up, and he's got role models in his life. Some of them are straight, some of them are gay, and he's just trying to figure out how to be the best man. It is hilarious. It's really well written. One of the best scenes at a wedding you will ever see. Sarah Grant has got it right. Richard Peck was 84, 85 when this came out. 84, 85 years old. Very sadly, he has passed away. But this is the book of his career. If it wasn't too late for Richard Peck, it's not too late for anybody out there who thinks, I'm not published yet, it's too late. It's never too late. So take inspiration from the late, great Richard Peck. You can write your best work later in life when you've got a whole vocabulary of pain and suffering to draw upon.
Great. Tira is asking a giveaway question here. She's got a son attending school in Edinburgh, although I suspect she might not be. So can she enter the giveaway if it can be sent directly to him?
Of course, yes.
To reiterate, the giveaway is for UK and Ireland.
That's right.
But there is a great giveaway that US.
That's right. There's 2 further giveaways, and those are listed on my website, SheilaMAverbuch.com/giveaway, or just go to SheilaMAverbuch.com and you'll click the giveaway link. And I'm listing other giveaways there for US and Canada.
Yeah, TJ Mitchell has asked.
TJ from New Zealand with Judy. Hey, TJ.
Exactly. Where can I get one of those terrifying cats?
Terrifying cats? This cat is Joy for All. It is a Joy for All cat. You see that? I'm not showing it too well.
Oh, yeah.
It was like $100-something. And yeah, easy to get. Great.
What made you choose your US agent versus UK? Asks an American Brit, Charlotte Teeple Salas.
Hi, Charlotte. Can you read the question again?
What made you choose a US agent versus a UK agent? And she's asking as an American Brit.
I see. I kind of knew that I was going to end up writing American stories that would sell better in the American market than the UK market. You know, it's not just because it's a bigger market, although it is a bigger market, but that's where, you know, middle grade me grew up. So I knew those were the books I was going to write. And I used publishersmarketplace.com to research, which was the best $25 I ever spent. So you can just use the filters there to say, show me the top agents by who's doing deals. You know, show me the top agents according to the editors I want to work with. And Jennifer Loughran was, you know, a no-brainer because they're Andrea Brown and Jennifer herself are right at the top there.
Great. There's a question from a young young event attendee, April Erdington's question from my daughter Sophia, who's 13. I can't wait to read the book. What kind of things should I be doing to improve my writing as a young author?
Continuing to read and continuing to write. And here's the scary thing, like submitting it to other to competitions or to showing it to other people and other writers. Specifically, some young writers use Wattpad, or writers of all ages use Wattpad and get feedback. But the thing I didn't do, April's daughter Sophia, the thing I didn't do was I didn't show it to other writers earlier on. I really should have done that. I really should have done that, because they'll give you feedback as readers and tell you how to make it stronger. And it's tough, you know, because it's kind of scary. It's super scary to show your writing to other people, but do show it to other people.
Great. Now, I think we might only have time for one more kind of question, which I am going to combine. So I'm going to combine Elizabeth Frattaroli's and another person, Lindsay Rogers, so Lindsay asks, can you tell us about your next writing project and future plans? And Elizabeth asks, are you going to resurrect any of your old manuscripts that are languishing in a drawer?
I love my old manuscripts. We both love my old manuscripts. So, I mean, that's always a possibility, but what I'm writing right now is another, so, I mean, I love writing thrillers, as it turns out. So I'm writing another middle grade thriller, but it's more about selfie culture and how, you know, if selfies go crazy, where that could lead and how that could affect kind of tween self-image and mental health.
Great. I'm going to filter out some silly questions like Kathy Evans saying, did you just write about the cat just because you can buy one?
Actually, well, I can kind of answer that. I felt that because tech is a big part of this book, and the beginning of the book didn't have enough signals in it that there's going to be, you know, some tech in this book later on, I needed to put a tech something earlier on. And when I saw these creepy cats at the exhibition of robotics in Edinburgh, I said, I have to have one of those. Yeah.
So you did really just write it?
I did really, yeah.
And Miranda Mawson, where's the cupcakes? If this is a book launch, where are the cupcakes?
Oh, sorry, no cupcakes. It's BYO cupcake.
Yes, exactly. So I think some great questions we've had in. I'm sorry if I've missed out the question that you've asked, but we are going to be a bit pushed for time. Yes. So what we've done tonight is talked a lot about the community of writing, yes, and writers help readers by providing them with fantastic entertainment and enlightenment and education, etc. But what would your 3 top tips be for how readers can help writers?
How readers can help writers, even if you don't buy your books on Amazon because you don't believe in it, it's really useful if we can use tools like Amazon, which is just a search engine for books, use them to our advantage to help authors by putting like a 1-sentence review there of a book that you enjoyed, or on Goodreads. So if you liked a book, review it online, review it on Waterstones or Barnes & Noble's website, review it on Amazon, any place that can show the big search engine algorithms that readers enjoy this. Also, use your library. If you are in school and you have a school librarian, ask them what you should read next. Tell them what kind of things you like. That's, yeah, those are the main things you can do. And you know, tell each other what you're reading, ask your friends what they're reading, because that's really important too. And before we close off tonight, there is something really, really, really important I want to say. I want to thank my mother. Mom, if you are listening to this, I love you. I miss you. I can't wait to see you again. But you have always been so, so supportive of me and my writing, and I cannot thank you enough. And you didn't freak out when I spent 2 years working as a professional actor. And if I hadn't been an actor, I couldn't have become the writer that I have become. So I am going to toast, if we're going to toast my book, I'm also going to toast my mother, Patricia McDonald, who is in this chat. Please, everybody, toast my mother, because it is thanks to her that that this book happened and that my career happened.
That's great. So I think, I mean, all that remains to say really is welcome to the world, friend me.
Thank you.
Welcome, Sheila.
I'm going to toast friend me too.
And thank you. The last word to you, Sheila, and then we're going to zoom across to the Facebook Live. So stick around, coming across to the chat.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you to my mom. And that's all I want to say. I'm so glad you came along tonight. You can find out more on my website, SheilaMAverbuch.com. And we will just leave up the final slide of the books that you can choose from if you win the giveaway. And we will hop over to Facebook now and see if I can answer any other hellos or whatever in the chat.